to see you all. And actually, I'm going to pause. I'm going to stay from here. I want to make sure you can all see my face. I don't know if you can from my angle, but hi. It's a pleasure to meet you all. If you haven't met me, I'm James Morrow. I'm the Impact Coordinator for Pathways High. I'm excited to, get a chance to speak with you today and talk to you a little bit about dual enrollment, impact, and mastery transcript. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our presentation. Oops. All right. All right. So, as I've already stated, we're going to talk about mastery transcript. We're going to talk a bit about dual enrollment and impact year. Then we'll leave some time for some questions, and then I post a link to a survey for interested parents for dual enrollment and impact year. All right. Before I get into my spiel, I want you to hear from from the horse's mouth as far as what the mastery transcript is and some of its benefits.
The MTC is a collection of high schools that is really seeking to reinvent how students prepare for college, career, and life. Our transcript is a game changer. We move from a flat two-dimensional transcript to a rich interactive transcript that reflects the full range of skills and talents that a student really demonstrates over the 4 years of their education.
The mastery-based transcript definitely portrays the student in a more holistic view because college admissions officers or anyone looking at it can see the student as a whole, from what they're really good at to what they haven't been so good at. Whereas a traditional one, you really couldn't see that. You just see a grade, you don't see the story behind it.
I think ultimately the students who will benefit most from the Mastery Transcript Consortium approach are those students who really need new forms and new ways of showing what they're capable of doing and what they have already accomplished.
When I first read about the Mastery Transcript Consortium, I was immediately impressed by the idea. At a place like Michigan, we get many, many more students applying. So finding a way to distinguish yourself as an individual is really important. What I'm excited about from Mastery Transcript is the idea that a student could actually build a case about who they are on top of evidence that can be linked directly to that student portfolio.
For the past 19 years, we've been engaged in learning experiences that are rich and meaningful and holistic and powerful for young people. And it just makes sense that we would use a tool like the Mastery Transcript in order to actually capture the richness of those experiences instead of reducing them into a numeric grade, which is very, very shallow.
Every teacher, every administrator, every person that I've interacted with from the Mastery Transcript Consortium wants better outcomes for students.
I think that college admissions officers will look at my body of work differently because of the depth of the work. We actually had to use different outlets to prove that we learned something. So it wasn't just a one-time thing. We had to do it multiple times to show that we really understood the skills that we are being taught.
Colleges are much more able to see the type of student that you are and how much you're willing to work. They really get a sense of you as a person.
My mission is to create opportunities for kids who don't come from privilege to have access to innovation. Equity means that all kids have access and equal access to opportunities to demonstrate their full selves, to enable themselves to take advantage of opportunities that they are interested in to move their lives and their work forward.
The work of Mastery Learning is at its core equity work. Our overall goal is that we are building a transcript that can truly help transform education for every single student. As we've been talking with colleges, we're excited about what we've been hearing. First and foremost, colleges are saying this is the right answer for students. They know that these education models are the right sort of preparation for students. They are excited by the work that the MTC is doing and ready to engage in a new admission process with students who've frankly been going through an educational model that's deeply engaging and fulfilling for them.
I believe there's a revolution coming when it comes to thinking about higher education and how you present yourself as a student. One size never fit all. It can't, right? We're all unique. We all have unique potential. And that's exactly what MTC is all about.
This is such a great transcript because it really does show the whole student. As a senior going into college in a couple of months, I wish that my college admissions officers were able to see me as a whole student and not just a number on a piece of paper.
All right. So the mastery transcript for Pathways is more than just a feature of Pathways. It's an area where we spend a lot of focus and a lot of time working towards it, because we truly believe that this is something that is going to show your student in a brighter light than just a traditional transcript. So kind of looking at like what makes mastery-based curriculum mastery-based. You know, we move from this area of just academic or production context, you know, process for and understanding and evaluating, you know, these general kind of studies where it's an academic task or a product that's made. And we move to real world context. The mastery transcript is the culmination of the work that your kids are doing every single day in their seminars. Your students are working, creating these projects that are based off real world context, that are created through their studies in these real world based seminars. Investigation and creation process, the application, all of these pieces are what we believe at Pathways really creates a full rounded experience for your child and also fully prepares them for the future. So what I have here is a video from Exhibition Night from last year. This is a chance, every year we have Exhibition Night, and this is a chance for students to showcase some of these projects that they're creating. So I want to show you some of the things that students did last year, really to kind of pique your interest and to start anticipating what the students are going to create this year also.
So Exhibition Night is designed to give students the opportunity to showcase the projects that they've been working on in their seminars throughout the first 2 quarters of the year. They're able to choose one project that they're really, really proud of and work to refine it to make it the best they can possibly be, and then present it to their peers, their parents, family members, community members, board members, founders, their teachers, and really get to show the work that they produced and explain the process they went through, what they learned in terms of the content of the project, but also really importantly, when it comes to what we do here at Pathways, the process that they worked through and what they learned about themselves as a learner and what they improved on as a learner as well.
For me, it was a lot of refinement and trying to decide how I wanted to present my project and which project I actually wanted to present, because I had a lot of cool projects that I really liked that I did, and I chose one that I really liked and that I could connect to and actually like talk about. That was the goal of this project. I actually learned a lot about myself during this process. During the actual exhibition night and afterwards, I was able to talk to someone and connect with them. And I decided that the field that I actually wanted to go into, which is becoming an actuary, is something I'm still interested in, but want to do something where I actually speak out more, like, and speak to people more, because I really enjoy being able to present things. And I think I did a really good job by presenting and talking about something specific.
All right. And before we continue, I apologize. I forgot to introduce my partners, Mr. Meyer and Mrs. Byrne. They'll be monitoring the chat. So if there's questions that come up while I'm presenting, go ahead and drop them in the chat box, and they'll answer your questions as quickly as possible. And then we'll also have some time at the end if there's any other lingering questions that we need to answer. All right. So the picture, moving from grades and scores to artifacts. So this is really what we focus on, and once again, diving into that real real world experience. So when what the traditional model is looking at grades, this is what you see on a traditional transcript also. You'll have, school classes that the kids took and the grades that they received during these classes. It often becomes subjective, even when work is done. So admissions professionals have to guess like, okay, well, they got an A in this class. They got an A in English 9. Okay, what does that really mean? And so that's why we lean more on artifacts. We want the students to be able to showcase exactly what it is that they're capable of. So these artifacts really stand on their own. They provide a clear picture to student achievement, and they have a student narrative that explains it. Part of the mastery transcript process is the student defending their pieces of work and explaining to the colleges what skills they learned throughout this process. So it's not just, hey, I made this really cool project. No, not at all. It's, hey, look at this great piece of work I put together. And these are the skills that I learned during this work. And this is how it's showcased within this work. So those are some of the pieces as far as they kind of show how we use the mastery transcript and some of the pieces of that mastery transcript at Pathways. And here's some statements, because what's important is obviously making sure that the colleges see it the same way. And in conversations with different colleges show that they also see the value in this mastery transcript. A lot of them believe that it actually makes their job easier because they don't have to try to figure out exactly like, oh, what does this really mean? Is the student really ready or not? They can look at the piece of work that's submitted in the mastery transcript and see like, wow, this student is definitely ready for college. So things from like UW-Milwaukee explaining gives a better picture of what the student is capable of doing. We have seniors already completing this year. So it's been a great time working with the universities and showcasing some of these students and seeing how excited they are about these applicants because they get to see what they're capable of before they even have a chance to truly meet them. If there may be situations where like some of the common question may be, well, for scholarships that require a GPA, how do you figure that out? Because as you know, at Pathways, we're not a grade A, B, C, D. That's not how we grade. We grade on proficient and progress and mastery. And not in that order, but that's my role where I have those conversations, and myself and the rest of the impact team, we have those conversations with those entities that provide scholarships and explain to them, what they're seeing. If they need additional explanation, that's what we do. So the great thing about the transcript is it shows the student, they showcase who they are, not just a list of classes they take. And they get the full support of Pathways High to help pretty much go out and help market them to the colleges.
And before you move on, Mr. Morrow, not just the weight of Pathways High. Pathways High is a part of the Mastery Transcript Consortium, which is a group of 400 plus schools all over the country and the world that are also innovating on how transcripts work. In a time right now when fewer and like the ACT and SAT are becoming less important to colleges. It's become not required by a wide variety of colleges over the past year. And then with COVID, many more colleges are waiving those as requirements. The mastery transcript is something that can really help our students stand out. By highlighting the work that they've done, the products they've created, and preparing them to be able to talk about those things in their college interviews and in job interviews, scholarship interviews, and beyond. And so like over the next few months for our current seniors, and then over the next year for our juniors, and students are going to be building their portfolios and transcripts to be able to share and access these kinds of things as they move on.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so that was the mastery transcript. That's the crux of Pathway. That's one of those pieces that we're constantly that we're supporting, and that we're moving towards the future of what education should be, and also what we're hearing from not just colleges but also employers. Now let's move into dual enrollment and impact year. So the difference between the two programs. So dual enrollment is for fourth year seniors. during the dual enrollment process, if they are accepted, they will take pathways seminars, and they'll be taking college courses or an internship. They can take a total of 6 college credits. Now that's 1 class per semester. The big focus is we want to make sure that we're giving students the opportunity. We also want to make sure that we're not just throwing them into the pit, so to speak, and overwhelming them with too many college courses. Okay. So as a fourth year senior, this is not something that's required. This is an option. This is really based off of students that are ready, that have shown that they're ready to take on some college courses and to further their career. The impact year is for 5th year seniors. Now during the impact year, students are only taking college courses or working an internship. So they're not taking pathways courses. This is focused on giving students that opportunity to explore college, free of charge, by the way, which is my favorite part, to the student, as far as for classes and books. And they still have the support of the pathways machine. Like, we're still here supporting them, reaching out to our contacts. We check in with students, we give them guidance, and we make sure that they're successful. That's our whole goal. During this impact year, they can take up to 12 college credits, so 2 classes per semester. That's amazing. Once again, the reason why, and you'll know I'll always come back to the money, because it's very important. It's very important to me, even when I was going through college, and I'm sure it's very important to those of you that have to fund your child going to college. And in addition, like I said, they also had possibilities to do internships too. A couple pieces I want to make sure I point out, I'm being very explicit about, is that summer courses will not be paid for by Pathways, and that all tools and course materials other than books must be purchased by the student or family. So what that means is that if your class requires a specific supply or specific tool, if they decide to go into welding, there's a specific tool that they need for welding, that would have to be purchased by the student or their family. Okay. Like I said, I always come back to the money.
Mara, I've got a quick question for you that came through the chat. Does dual enrollment classes count towards high school credit as well as college credit?
They can. So those are situations that's also the beauty of this program, because of the flexibility in it. Depending on the class, and that would be a conversation that we'd obviously sit down and talk about with myself and the student and the parent, looking at what the class is offering. There may be an opportunity for them to earn high school credit also while they're doing it. Yes. Good question. All right, now to the money. So currently we have about 11 kids taking 132 credits, and the total savings is $24,304. So if they were to take these classes, the 12 credits at UWM, you're looking at a cost of about $5,500 if they took it on their own. MATC, a little bit less, but still a nice piece of change, $1,880.40. Marquette, a little higher, $21,000 to $23,000 bucks. All right. Then you have MSOE, Alverno, and Mount Mary. Once again, the beauty, one of the beautiful parts of this program is that the payment for tuition for books, that's covered by Pathways. We do that because we want kids to get an opportunity to succeed and to further their careers. So it's something I'm very excited about, and I look forward to. I get hyped about it. If you can't tell, I'm almost bouncing out of my chair, because it's a great opportunity for kids to take advantage of. And then also we've created a lot of partnerships with many internships and other outside organizations that students could take part in for other opportunities. But obviously COVID-19 has kind of put a damper on a lot of those, but that doesn't mean that it's still out of the realm of possibilities for the kids.
Mr. Morrow, what kind of partnerships and internships might be available to students in the near future?
Well, I'm currently working on piloting a program where we're looking at some manufacturing opportunities, some construction opportunities. So it's really opening up, especially now that some businesses are opening up more, and their restrictions are, well, at least as of right now, are a little lower. It gives us a lot of chances to look for what the students are interested in, and either tap our current network for those opportunities, or go out and find additional organizations that would fill that opportunity, that interest for the student. So I mean, to put it put it short, I mean, the possibilities are endless. I try to make sure I find out what the students are interested in. If there's something that we may not have a partnership with, or interests or a field that we don't have a connection with, I take it upon myself and to go out and try to find some more of those opportunities that will fit the student.
Mm-hmm. Great. So things like the trades and as well as like things in the service industry or nonprofit work or business opportunities. Those are all things that are going to be on the table as we build our network and have more students enter that part of the program.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with dual enrollment, seniors can participate. And notice I said can, it's not something that's mandated. We want students that are interested in it and that will give their all to this. But they can participate depending on their progress towards graduating. So if they're struggling to graduate, and these are all conversations that can be had on an individual basis, but if they're struggling, this may not be a right fit for them. It might be. But if they're moving towards, they're already on the path to graduating, they may have more than enough credits, or at least as far as meeting all the expectations for that year, this may be another way for them to cap off their fourth year. So courses at UWM and MATC or have an internship are the options. Once again, we talked about the 6 credits and it's paid for Pathways High, including books. Once again, I hit the money hard because important for me, like probably likely important for you. Dual enrollment students are still students of Pathways High. I want to make sure I'm being very clear on that. They're still students of Pathway High. Because I know sometimes students might be like, yeah, I'm in college. Yeah, you are, but you're still a Pathways High student. So you're taking college courses, but as a high school student. And then courses, and as asked earlier, courses and internships may allow for gaining of high school credits. Once again, we're very true to the idea of kids gaining real life experience and being able to model what or perform to show their proficiency or capability of skills. So this is another avenue that we see as a way for students to show what they're capable of. And we think it's only fair to make sure we reward them with their high school credits for the skills that they show that they have mastered. And then dual enrollment, students may also take seminars or ALEX classes from Pathways High. All right, let me rephrase that. They will take either or.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So right now, most of the schools that we work with are currently, the majority of classes are virtual. But if they weren't virtual, students are still responsible for providing their own transportation. So right now they just have to kind of just move it to the computer for most of their classes. Pathways High will cover, once again, the cost of books. And those books will need to be returned to Pathways High because those are property of Pathways. Those are books that we continue to use for students that follow up in dual enrollment students' footsteps. So that way they can also use those resources. And the big piece next to the money is always the support that we can provide them. It's very important to myself. It's very important to the staff at Pathways that students still feel supported even when they're taking college courses. You hear horror stories of students going away to college and they're like, I don't know what to do now. And, and everyone's like, well, figure it out. That's not what we want to happen to our students. We want them to understand that yeah, this is a challenging time and we're going to still support you the entire way. We want you to know that Pathways High has your back. So some ways you see this will be through check-ins with myself, the impact coordinator, and guidance. Sometimes it might just be checking in and saying like, all right, what are we working on this week? Do you have any questions? Or maybe, hey, you know what? I saw your grades are slipping a bit. How about we try this? Or how about what are some things that you can ask your instructor? We try to focus on giving or helping students see and learn those life skills, those pieces to be more independent. And this is one area that we also kind of weave that into. So looking at what's next. So the deadline to apply for dual enrollment during the second semester is November 17th. So there is a contract that will need to be signed by both the student and at least one parent and returned to myself by the deadline. Just so you have an idea, I'll just bring it up so you can see it real quickly. It's not contracted, so one page document. Just one page document, looking over some of the eligibility requirements and all the expectations. Okay. Big things that communication is key in this program. Making sure that students are that we continue to be able to support them, especially in this time of COVID. We can't always see face to face, so it's important that we have a chance to at least talk and do check-ins. So at least for me, that's very important, making sure that we can continue to provide that great support to help them be successful. All right, and okay, we already know it. So student and parent must also, in addition to having the contract signed, both the student and parent must have a meeting with me to go over expectations and any remaining questions that they might have or concerns by Christmas break, which starts, well, the date will be December 18th for that last meeting being set. And that's to make sure that we're all on the same page before the semester starts in January 17th. I want to make sure that your student, if they're selected for the program, that you understand exactly what's expected. They understand exactly what's expected. Everyone understands what they can do if they need help, they need support, or they're doing great, or when Mr. Morrow is going to reach out and contact me. Is he going to call me when is he going to call when we're doing great? Is he going to call when we're doing bad? The answer is all the above. I want to make sure that that communication is there. Once again, to help everyone be successful in this program. One last piece before we go to questions. This dual enrollment contract, I will send out as soon. There's a survey at the end, so if you sign up for this, if you sign up for survey showing that you're interested, I will send out these the dual enrollment contract so we can get started on that process. In addition, if you're just like, hey, Mr. Morrow, like, I didn't get a chance to fill out the survey or whatever you, ideally the survey is the best route to go, but you feel free to always reach out to me, also by email or by phone, and I'll put that information in the chat in a moment. So a lot of information. Are there any questions that were not answered, any lingering concerns?
None in the chat yet, but I'm just excited for all of you and for your students to be able to take advantage of these opportunities, like the founders and our board have set us up to be able to offer this big, like a big opportunity, something that they can't get elsewhere here at Pathways, to really dig into those internships and dual enrollment classes while still participating in our school community. I think it's something that's really cool, and I wish that I had more of that opportunity myself when I was a kid. Mr. Morrow, we got a question in the chat. We might have missed it, but can you cover again how students will get internships?
All right, sorry, I was just switching computers for a moment. Can you ask that question again, Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, from Mr. Krakowski, we might have missed it, but can you cover again how students get those internships?
So the first step would be, oh, sorry, let me mute this so we don't have an echo. All right, so the first step would be, once again, having that meeting, that conversation with both the parent and the student, and then looking at what are their actual interests as far as for internships. Once we figure that part out, then that's where we start reaching out, and by we I mean myself and the Impact team, start reaching out to the internships that we have available, the different organizations that we have available, and see, all right, hey, how can, like, is there a need for this internship? Or, hey, you know what, I have a great candidate right now. I think they'll be a great fit for them. And then that's how the process starts as far as getting internships.
Yeah. And also, like, as we are, one of the things that Mr. Morrow is working on is connecting with institutions that connect students with internships. There's a couple of them around town, and building connections with organizations so that there can be predictable internships as well. Like Lead to Change is a program that a number of our kids participated in last year. Teens Grow Greens is another one. Both of those connect kids with internships and help support them. And it's not directly facilitated by us, but we're connecting and supporting kids into those programs, helping make sure that they do well. And then particularly those kinds of external, like facilitated programs, can provide paid internships as well, which is rare in college, and even more so for high school students. So we're really excited about that. Then another question that's in the chat, when is the application deadline for next year's seniors?
Okay, so for next year's seniors, the goal will be that the deadline will have by the end of March, and I will post, So March 15th is the deadline for next year's seniors, just so that way we can have a lot of those meetings and we can have things already set up in place, have them, figure out what classes they want to take, what colleges they want to go to that we work with, or what internships that they want as soon as possible. So March 15th.
Yeah. Because I've been using that for one. History.
All right, all good questions. Are there any additional ones?
No. Key points.
One from Ms. Litzy: does Pathways has a living document of all the possible internships?
So that is something that we're currently working on compiling. We have a lot of organizations that we work with, but currently I don't currently have a living document. Mr. Meyer, I just want to verify, is there any ones that we have connected on the website or not?
I think we don't have a static list because right now with the numbers of seniors and impact year students being relatively small, we haven't built a lot of pathways for those things yet, but that's something that we're working on. A lot of it's really based on the interest that we have from students, and then we can match them with that, which is what you said, Mr. Maurer.
Yeah. All right, anything else? Oh, Dr. Kanavi, thank you for the plug. So she put in the chat that, her daughter's currently finishing up a class this semester in MATC. She has done it online and is doing great. And yes, it will count towards college. And yeah, I've been very amazed by the level of just the level of not just the quote unquote work, but just the level of fortitude that students have been showing through this troubled time, even during taking on college courses. So it's been very great in my short time with Pathways, just to see how students have been stepping up and, doing great at their college courses, asking questions, even like if they get stuck or they don't understand something, reaching out to myself, reaching out to even other instructors at Pathways and the college instructor to, get guidance. So it's been really good to see that. And yes, definitely, she's definitely been one of the ones leading charge also. All right. Well, if there are any other questions, that's my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you have a question and you're like it comes up to you, a week from now. Definitely reach out to me, and I'll answer that question as soon as possible. Mr. Meyer, anything else I'm forgetting before we sign off?
Just that I'm grateful for the privilege of being able to work with you all and your kids as we pioneer this new process in the Mastery Transcript, in Impact Year, and in dual enrollment. A lot of this is new for Pathways, new for us, and we appreciate the trust that you're showing in us, and the opportunity to work with your kids and help them work through some of these things.
Yes, I'll love to echo that. Yeah, it's been a great opportunity. Yeah, it's just been great to work with everyone and to see the growth that's happening within this short couple months. Well, with that being said, it's been a pleasure also to get a chance to talk to you, get a chance to see some of your faces. Now that you see mine now, my presentation isn't going. I'm glad that we can make that contact, even though it's only virtual, but hopefully soon it won't only be virtual. But once again, feel free to reach out anytime to contact myself, contact us if you have any other questions regarding dual enrollment impact or MT or mastery transcript.
Yeah, Mr. Meyer, 2 questions for you.
Yes.
How would the parents access the survey?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'm going to post the link in the chat right now.
And so, yeah, please take the survey. If you have any individual questions, we'll keep the link live for a little while, and you can stick around and ask some of those individually if you'd like.
Definitely. Have a good night, everyone.